Alright, this one's titled For the Sway. So, this is a group in this town. This group sound tortures people into psych units in tri-suits. Now, those groups, which is basically like teachers and lawyers and judges and mayors and cops and AA groups and stay-at-home moms and Mormons and see what I'm talking about with the everybody having the same profile copy? So they may not realize what it is that they were doing. So essentially, in the past, a tech psycho group would have a group underneath them, and then that group would sound torture. Well, they would get that person fuck raped into a schizo, and then they would do the same thing that you lawyers and judges do, to be pushing that person into a psych unit. So now all of you have those leader profiles, which are tech psycho leader profiles. And see, a lot of what activates the fuck rape into a schizo and then the torture into a psych unit is the tech psychos used to find cops in S&M, and then they would force an audio tape that they would sound torture them into going after somebody they didn't like. And nowadays, when you do that, then these cops, they end up just coming into your house, fuck raping you into a schizo, or they have another team in S&M who does the same thing. Either way. And that then the S&M sound tortures all of you into a psych unit. So this is what I'm saying about these leader profiles. If you people stay in those, you'll all be tortured onto a child trafficking route. The two paths is essentially, since nobody's arresting any of you inoculated people, this is what this is for. The confession stuff is meant for all of you to be going in and to be confessing for every single crime listed in your profile. And that regardless, you have to admit to everything. Or essentially, if you spend 30 days in jail or something, you see they'll take away the profile once you admit in a confession to the sheriff or to the police officers or to the state, to the FBI, either one, doesn't matter, every single crime that you all committed. Then, when you go to jail, they'll take that away. The other option is to get fuck raped until you turn into a satanic schizophrenic, essentially, and then you have to go inside of a psych unit. That's the other way. So, the whole idea is that if you refuse, that's what will lead every tech psycho. Basically, every tech psycho with these profiles ends up on a child trafficking route if they refuse to go to jail or if they refuse to go into a psych unit after getting satanically sex slaved. So, those are the only options for you people. So, that's pretty much. There's not anything. That stuff operates. Operates out of those contract systems. Those contract systems are S&M clubs. And that is where the government would shut those down if they could, but they can't. Okay? So just remember, that's where the government has no ability of shutting those down. You know, those are Russian intelligence, Nazi intelligence, those are Chinese intelligence, those are Islamic intelligence dark webs. And that they don't just give government access to that stuff. That's why your guys' pedo bangs aren't seen by the government, but they're seen by everybody inside of those. And so that's just what it is. And so this is basically what the form of dark web policing is inside of those systems. You people take things too far, and then you guys end up being tech psychos. It doesn't really matter about you people pressed all the tech club buttons. Those are a series of 1,000 hacks that then get you guys all the points of hackers and shit. Those are hacks. That's what hackers do. They press the exact same buttons that you all press. They made those automated hacks. Those hackers press the same fucking buttons. You people are the same as them. The tech psychos have the same buttons that you all use. You all have leader profiles because essentially people were so stupid in this town that essentially the people in that, they don't give a fuck about any of you. They took the leader profile and then they copied it over and over again, and then they placed all of you in it. That's pretty much. So I'm just here to inform all of you that basically, you know, most of the time, well, they have other leader profiles where people don't necessarily commit very many crimes. And that essentially the tech psycho systems, there's some people that operate those without being a psycho at everyone. Right? When you guys pedo bang and then you guys start torturing everybody in it. Right? Honestly, that's where, you know, and the other ones, essentially, they usually run a bunch of drugs. Honestly, they usually just run a bunch of drugs and then they don't torture anybody. And so then, if they end up having to do a confession, then their confession is to confess to like running a bunch of drugs in the past. And so then they don't spend, that's like basically all that they do, a whole world of they don't really commit very many crimes. They also admit to hacking, basically. And so, and voyeurs or something like that. But they might spend a year or something in jail or something like that. But this is what I'm getting at. You people are all torturing innocent people to death. That's attempted murder in an organized group way. Okay, when you guys do that, it's called attempted murder. It's also called torture, and that those are the crimes that you guys have to admit to. And that shit will put you guys in jail for a long time. And so the other option is for all of you to basically go through the fine-tuned, months-long process of being turned into a very real schizophrenic that won't ever have you people leaving a psych unit. Pretty much. See, this is why those cuckolding pedophiles, this is why they always figure out a way to get busted on purpose. Because as they get to the top, and then they leave because they know, everybody knows. It's just like even the Nate Silver guy. He was getting to the top, and he basically made it easy to get busted. Basically. That's what it is, because he would have even known, even the dude that made Silk Road, he was doing the same shit. And then he made it easy to get busted. Because he would have been pushed out on a child trafficking route that would have slaved him around and would have made him do the most horrible fucked up shit, and then would have just killed him at the end. Because that's what happens to all of them. Every one of them. So, that's where, when you people get into the tech club, you guys may not realize, but nobody really likes it when you guys do the methods that you guys do to be getting into the tech. You guys pedo bang in. They keep you people out by forcing you all to have to pedo bang just to be entering tech club. Right? They would require the same thing of me. No, I don't have any desire to do any of that stuff. But the reality is that certain people get listed as people that they don't want in their tech club shit. And that those people are then listed as needing a certain blackmail before entering. The rest of them, they could have just butt fucked up the ass or something, and since they were already sleazeballs and shit, like, pretty much. And then since they were like nerds and sleazeballs and shit, and since they were hackers, that's where it was very easy for them to enter that stuff. And then they don't necessarily do that much crime. And so, the rest of you, pretty much, you guys blackmail in, then you guys don't do anything. And then that's like where you gotta, all of those tech clubs have like a required contract quota of money in the S&M way. And so that is where a few people don't seem to realize that essentially the contracts, if you people still owe a bunch of money, and if the contract doesn't pay off, then essentially they just switch it back to the S&M, and then they do this type of stuff. Because you people need to go to a psych unit or jail, or you guys will be shoved out. Because you guys just sat around spending all the money, right? That's just what it is. You guys feel entitled, you guys pedo bang in, you guys do the most horrible thing into it, and then you guys sit around spending all the money. See, this is what it is in the tech club. You spend a little bit of the tech club money or something, then they do some service. They pay it back. This is what it is. You people run up huge debts. And that essentially there's always been this option, and that it's essentially where, some of these other people that have spent a lot of time in jail after doing a tech club, they pedo banged to be in other ones that they were ripping off and shit. But essentially, that's how crimes that they will still have to admit to, and that more than likely when they get out of prison, they'll be fuck raped into a schizo, and then they'll go to a psych unit. They have tech club people that will be able to. That's just what it is. So if your mercenary contracts basically doesn't pay off the debt, then essentially the child trafficking method gets used on all of you. This is what happens. See, this is like where I saw this dipshit. He was doing the Cayman pedo bang net, where they run up a bunch of credit and they never pay and they never do anything. They just use all the S&M credit and shit. And then, all of a sudden, he just wouldn't go to jail, he wouldn't go to a psych unit. And then, that's right, he ended up on a homeless route that ends up just being the child trafficking route for those people. And it doesn't matter how rich you are, you might as well just put your money into it. And that's what the richest people do. Okay, so like the pedo bangers that are in Vegas and shit that do that stuff, they end up just flushing out selling their houses, everything. They liquidate everything and they pay back everything. And then essentially, once they pay back a pretty decent amount, then they end up running some drugs or something, physically, and then it pays off. And then they have to go to a psych unit. They don't have to be fuck raped into a schizo. That's why the stuff that you people do with button, That's usually reserved for people that can actually pay off their own debt with their own money. And that's what I know about all of you. You guys are just local judges and DAs and shit with decent jobs. And that those people are like millionaires that usually do what you guys are doing. So, I mean, that's where you guys are doing the tech psycho methods, because if you don't have all the money, if you guys don't have all the money, like I say, your guys' expectation was for the government to help all of you by paying money. They're not going to pay money to Satanists and a bunch of fucking mercenary contractors and shit. They're not going to do that. You people created this problem. And this is what it is. This is why I did all this research, because you know what? Though, even on YouTube, I look around on YouTube right now, there'll be 1,000 people that'll be in the same, with videos and something, be in the same situation as all of you. This is why I make this information, because most people are getting into this stuff, and you know what, without some serious education on what that means, those people, at the very least, they need to be doing the data mines. They need to be doing that stuff. It's like why the nerds always did it, because they would do the data mine companies and they would pay all the stuff that they would be living off of. They would. You people just feel like entitled, weird Republicans that think that just remember, all the pedo bangers that have all the money, nothing. They won't pay their money to anybody, right? The whole idea is that even somebody like Donald Trump, he like paid off, prostitutes or something like that. Even those people, that money in like a satanic S&M way will eventually make its way back into his pocket. That's how that stuff works. See, like, essentially, somebody in that type of situation, a super rich guy, those prostitutes would be in the same satanic S&M site. And so when they figure out a way to be getting a non-disclosure agreement, then the pedo banger ends up buying a contract, or this is just what happens. Those prostitutes aren't allowed, basically, to be talking about it. And so when they threaten to talk about it and they get a bunch of money, then all that money works its way right back to that person. So just remember that nowadays they won't, with other people, that's just like with one prostitute. They won't see if it was like a child or something. They wouldn't even acknowledge the existence of that. Okay, but if it's like a prostitute, that's something that wouldn't put them in prison. That's why they do the non-disclosure. That's why they do that. But if it's anything illegal, they won't do payoffs for anything illegal. You people were pedo banging. You people were doing tech psycho and shit. And that they won't pay off people like that. They won't pay people's credit debt either. They won't. That would be like them in their own satanic S&M system paying off everybody's debt. They won't do that. You people should learn to not run up a bunch of fucking debt. That's what they should learn. And so don't expect those people to just be sympathetic to any of you, because most of them are psychotic and they don't give a fuck about nobody. They don't have empathy and shit. They don't give a fuck about anybody. So just remember that as you guys pay and are psycho and shit and stuff, that stuff costs money, all the stuff that you guys do in it. And that you guys sit around working your ways up thinking that you guys can be a job and shit. That doesn't pay off nothing. Throwing you all out and exploiting all of you on a child trafficking route, that ends up paying off all that stuff. And that nowadays, if you guys have too much money, they'll be exploiting all of you in prison. They'll be exploiting all of you in psych units and shit. They will. So, this is what you guys got yourselves into. And that most people in the position that you all are in would probably just end their own life. This is why I was anticipating this, because you know why? You people wouldn't do anything that everybody else does. And that what I know about that is that you people essentially were just doing an authentic satanic cult, and those end in group suicides. So that's kind of where like I've anticipated a potential for this area and all of this like law Satanist law group kind of people. And all of you weird AA pedo porners and shit. And all of you gangbang moms and shit. I've anticipated that all of you would eventually get to a position to where you all owe so much money. See, every time that those pedo porners fuck a kid, that shit costs thousands and thousands of fucking dollars. Thousands. It's not cheap. It's not cheap to just have sex with kids. It's like you can get a prostitute for, well, you can get a skanky man on the street for $25, $50. But online, then there's like the six or the sevens that are about $200, and then it goes up. And then like the really hot looking chicks, those are like $1,000, $1,200, $2,222 for like the hottest chicks each time, even if you fucking rape them, right? Each time. And so you see how much it costs for the hottest chick? Okay, so high school gangbang chicks, high school chicks are like $10,000 a time, basically, stuff like that. And then if it's like little kids and shit, then that's like $20,000 and shit. It gets really expensive. That's